My name is Grandin. I am a professor of animal science at Colorado State University. And today we are going to take a tour of a lamb processing plant. In a lamb processing plant, you can have the really young lambs, 8 to 10 months old. You can also have older sheep, that's called mutton. You've probably seen a lot of bad videos online. And today we're going to just show you normal processing in a lamb plant done correctly. We're going to start out unloading the sheep from this trailer out in the yards and go all the way through the entire process until the lambs go through the chiller and sent out to the grocery store. There are 4 decks of sheep on this trailer. One of the unique things about sheep is they use specially trained lead animals to move the sheep. Sheep have intense following behavior to follow the leader. And using trained lead animals is a really good low-stress way to move the animals. These are the trained leader sheep. They're just waiting now for the truck to start unloading. They'll have leaders that are trained for the truck and use other leaders for taking the animals through the yard and up into the plant. Calm, quiet animal handling is the right thing to do. It improves animal welfare, and you're going to have better quality meat. Animals that get agitated the last few minutes prior to stunning can have tougher meat. Sheep have a very strong instinct to follow. That instinct is much stronger than it is in cattle and pigs. And when you're handling sheep at the processing plant, you can use that instinct. Trained leader animals are often used, and the other sheep are going to follow them. They've got a very good non-slip floor here at this plant. I can't emphasize enough the importance of non-slip flooring, and they've done a good job on that. Now, there's a tendency for sheep to want to run, and this is one of the reasons why during unloading, the sheep were sometimes crowded into the pens to prevent them from running really fast through the yards. Most of the time in handling sheep, you do not need to use a driving aid. Lots of times they will just follow really nicely without one. But quite often, if you do need a driving aid, then oftentimes just a little plastic bag like this is used to guide the animals. There are other people that will use a rattle paddle. Electric prods are almost never used on sheep because thick wool is an insulator. After the lambs are unloaded from the trucks, they're held in a holding pen. And that holding pen has water that has to be available at all times. That's a requirement of the Humane Slaughter Act. If they're held over 24 hours, they have to have feed. This is a group of animals that was brought in last night. You can see that they're resting. And I think it's very obvious here that these sheep don't know they're going to get slaughtered. Because if they knew they were going to get slaughtered, they wouldn't be chewing their cud. Chewing their cud is a behavior they do when they're relaxed. On this chute leading up to the stunner, this outer side here is solid, so the sheep don't see people walking by the doorway. It also has shields so that the sheep don't see the person. Now, once you get a line of sheep going, they will follow. Sheep are great followers. The sheep ride to the stunner in a V conveyor restrainer. This plant uses electrical stunning, head to back stunning. They have to wet it first to make good electrical conductivity. Electrical stunning will cause instantaneous unconsciousness by passing a current through the brain. And when you pass a current through the brain, it causes a grand mal epileptic seizure. And then the back electrode simultaneously stops the heart. When electrical stunning is done correctly, it causes instantaneous unconsciousness. And when we do audits of animal welfare, we audit placement of the electrical stunner to make sure that the current will go through the brain. Sheep and other livestock can see depth when they put their head down. So when they're coming on into the restrainer, this piece of a board has been put here so the animal does not see that there's a steep drop-off. If they see the visual cliff effect, they won't go in. And when they didn't have this piece of board sitting here, it was hard to get the sheep into the restrainer. This is a good example of how you can use behavior in handling animals. If you take this out, then they see the drop-off and they won't go in. It's very important to have a backup method for stunning. So if, on the rare occasion that the electric stunner failed, they would have a backup captive bolt stunner to re-stun a lamb that may have missed the electric stunning. You absolutely must never ever let an animal go further down the line unless it is completely insensible. Most plants will do an internal audit at least once a week of stunner placement, and then they'll also go down into the bleeding area and audit to make sure that the lamb remains insensible. With electric stunning, you check for insensibility by waving your hand in front of their eye, maybe pinch the ear, and when the animal's hung on the rail, there must be absolutely no tendency for it to try to raise up its head. These particular shapes are not kicking, but sometimes you will see kicking, and that can occur in completely unconscious animals. There's the walking circuits right there in the spine, and when the brain is put out of connection, the walking circuit sometimes goes crazy, sometimes it does not. The next step is getting the carcass ready for pelt removal. Front legs are put in shackles. This is called a New Zealand inverted chain. There's been continuous improvement on dressing procedures to keep meat sanitary. And one of the most important places of food safety is pelt removal process to be done in a sanitary manner. So the dirty wool is always being pulled away from the meat. And when the pelt puller pulls the pelt off, it's pulling downward so the dirty wool does not contaminate the meat. As the carcass moves down the line, it will get into the evisceration station where the innards are taken out. And this also is done in a really sanitary manner. They have to be very careful not to cut the innards. Also, when they take the rectum out, that's done in a manner which prevents contamination of the meat. Sanitary dressing procedures are extremely important to prevent meat contamination. Before the lambs go into the chiller, they go through a hot water cabinet, and there's another cabinet over here that sprays a little bit of acetic acid on them. That's the same stuff that's in vinegar. Again, these are steps for food safety. This plant uses a very sophisticated camera grading system. A camera takes a picture of a side view and back view of each lamb carcass. It looks at the shape of the carcass, that's called the conformation. It also looks at the amount of fat. And then a computer can determine what the quality grade is from this picture. This plant has a highly automated chiller. After the camera grades them, it sorts them by grade onto these rails. You can see here, you got little lambs over there, bigger ones here, sorted by size. It also sorts them by quality grade. After the lamb carcasses exit from the cooler, they are then cut into primers, which are just big sections of meat. Over the years, meat plant managers have figured out better and better ways to keep things clean. And one of them is using plastic disposable aprons. Aprons are very difficult to clean. So each day, the employee gets a new plastic apron. And that may sound wasteful to do that, but from a food safety standpoint, it's one of the best things you can do. When you go in the supermarket, you probably have often wondered, how do they vacuum package meat? This is a cryovac vacuum packaging machine. It's used with beef, pork, lamb. It's used with many different products. And a bag is put on the plastic pallet with the end of it over the sealing bar, and all the air is sucked out. It's a very common machine used all over the industry. After the meat is vacuum packaged, the next step is to put it into the boxes for shipping. And after the meat is put in the boxes, then there is a machine that will automatically close the boxes and tape them shut. have now come to the end of your tour, and both the Meat Institute and the USDA cares very much about animal welfare. And for more information, you can go to animalhandling.org or my website, www.grandin.com.